Hello and welcome to Catholic Answers Live. I am Cy Kellett, your host. Thanks so much for being here with us on this Thursday afternoon. Maybe it's Thursday evening where you are. We appreciate you taking the time with us. Dr. Karlo Broussard is our guest both hours today, and you can ask him anything you like. 888-318-7884, 888-318-7884. Whether you're Catholic or not, whether you know a lot about these things or you are a complete newbie to religious questions, you are welcome here. You really are. We'd love it if you'd call 888-318-7884. Ask him anything. Dr. Karlo Broussard. Karlo's an apologist here at Catholic Answers, the author of 7 books and the host of the Dr. Karlo podcast and YouTube channel. Hi, Karlo.
Hey, Cy.
Thank you very much for being here with us.
Dude, it's great to be in the flesh with you.
It is. It's very nice to have you here in the studio
Absolutely.
with us. Yeah, usually Karlo's joining us via the tubes and things of the internet, but we're in studio together. Very, very nice. And in a minute, Karlo, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask... This is something they like on the internet, the 1-minute defense. So we're gonna feed the internet. We're gonna give it what it wants. I'm gonna ask you to give me a 1-minute defense of infant baptism.
All right.
And I will watch the clock. It'll be a minute. That's what you're getting.
All right, let's do it.
But before I do that, I want to take a minute to let people know that we are in the last day of our spring pledge drive. I'm looking at a screen right now that tells me 12 of our colleagues are on the phones ready to take your call. And if you would be willing, please help us be fully funded for the next 3 months. 888-291-8000 is that number. 888-291-8000. Our goal for this hour is $20,000. The way it works is if we meet our goals during the hours, we know that we are in good shape for the next 3 months. We know we're going to be okay for the next 3 months. Well, here's a nice coincidence. We have a $20,000 goal and we have a $20,000 match. So every pledge, every gift in any amount up to $20,000 to this hour is going to be 100% match. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. We've got a couple of gifts we'd like to give you. If you could make a $50 gift, we're going to send you this new book, which I don't know why it's taken so long for someone to write this book, but here it is, The Apostolate of Courtesy, How to Save Souls and Change the World Through the Power of Manners. Robert Grieving wrote that book, and anybody that can make a gift of $50 or more, we'll give you that book. If you can make a gift of $500 or more, we'll give you that book, but also Jimmy Akin's brand new book, Evidence for Christ, How We Know that Jesus is the Messiah. That number again, 888-291-8000. Nobody has picked it up to call yet, but I said I'm going to give Karlo his chance to answer, to give me the 1-minute defense of infant baptism. So I will trust that phone will start ringing when I ask Karlo that. Again, the number, 888-291-8000. You should know that CatholicAnswersRadio.com, if you go to the website, CatholicAnswersRadio.com, it goes to the same place. And we figure you can get done there. If you have your card out of your pocket, you can get done there in about 90 seconds if you'd like. So if you prefer internet, go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. If you prefer to text, just text the word Catholic to 24365. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. That's how often how often we'd like to be in the evangelization business, and because of you, we're able to. All around the world, people are using our materials 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Just text the word Catholic to 24365. Oh, the phone has not rung yet. 888-291-8000. I know that call is out there to get us started. 888-291-8000, the last day of our quarterly pledge drive today. Karlo, do you want me to watch the clock? Do you want me to say go? Do you want me to give you the word go, or do you want to just...
Let's do it, man. Let's see how we can do it.
All right, here we go. A contest for Karlo, a little something the internet likes. Give me the 1-minute defense. Karlo, please, give me the 1-minute defense of infant baptism.
All right, so the first argument I think we could employ would be from Colossians chapter 2, verses 11 through 12, where St. Paul teaches us that baptism is the circumcision of Christ. If infants were allowed to come into the covenantal family of God by way of circumcision, particularly male infants in the Old Covenant, and baptism is the new circumcision for the new covenant, then it would follow that infants could be baptized in order to become members of God's covenantal family. Of course, within God's covenantal family, it would involve both male and female via baptism. Second argument, I think, would be from our Lord's teaching in the born-again discourse in John chapter 3, verses 3 through 5, where he reveals, unless one is born again of water and spirit. The implication being, unless a human being, anybody within the category of human being, not restricted to adults, but implying all human beings. Infants are human beings, and so therefore infants would need to be born again by water and spirit to receive the new supernatural life. Third argument, from original sin. If we come into existence without sanctifying grace, and we know baptism gives us sanctifying grace, then infants would need to be baptized in order to receive sanctifying grace. We know original sin is real. We come into existence without original sin. We know baptism gives sanctifying grace, and so therefore we ought to baptize infants to give them sanctifying grace so that they can be mystically united to Christ.
There it is. And our first call came while you were doing it.
How about that?
So my trust was
that
well
first
placed.
call better give a good donation for me achieving that goal,
While
man.
Karlo catches his breath from that. Yeah, go ahead. We've got 14 lines open. One person on the line right now. Help us out. This is our last day. These are our last 2 hours of our 6 hours of pledge drive. 888-291-8000. I know you're probably asking yourself, how can they fund that whole thing, all of these hours of radio, all these hosts, all that, for and just do 6 hours of fundraising every quarter? Is because I honestly will say I think we're putting the money to work in a very judicious way. I think you're getting a bang for your buck. Where the show's going out all around the world, it involves great professionals like Dr. Karlo sitting right next to me here, and it's top-notch media, and we are able to do it because we are committed to getting a bang for your buck. So would you help us now to be fully funded? We've got a long way to go today. We've got a $20,000 match to use up. If that one caller that has called so far is giving $20,000, we're great. But if not, we need you. 888-291-8000.
Amen. You know, Cy, folks, we're inviting people to engage and to participate in the mission of Catholic Answers, because that's why we exist. We exist for the sake of mission. We're on mission to evangelize, to carry forth the Great Commission of making disciples of all nations. And what better way to do that than through media? And the media ministry that we are here at Catholic Answers is for the sake of that mission of evangelization. And folks, at 888-291-8000, we are inviting you to call in right now and to become a part of this great mission and the work that we do here at Catholic Answers. And you know, Cy, they not only become part of the mission in helping us achieve our mission that we believe God has called us to engage in, but also they become members of the Catholic Answers family. You know, we're not just a single person. This is not a personality-driven apostolate. We are a family here. And so for you folks, by calling in at 888-291-8000 and making your pledge today, you're becoming a member of the Catholic Answers family. We want you to become a part of the family. Please do so again at 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or you can text Catholic to 24365.
All right, I'll tell you what, I'll trust again that those calls are going to come in. A couple calls on now. I saw 3 calls come in while you were talking, Karlo. So thank you to those who have called, 888-291-8000. But I am going to go to the phones right now. Does line 1 look all right to you? Can I go to line 1
let's
for
do
you?
it.
All right, let's go to Lewis in Texas. Lewis, thanks for waiting. Go ahead with your question for Dr. Karlo Broussard.
Yeah, my question is, is it morally okay, to eat meat, knowing that we're eating I guess another living animal that has life and I guess its own nature to think in its own way?
Yeah, it's a great question, Lewis. The short answer is yes, it is morally okay to eat meat. Now, the real question is, doesn't that entail ending the life of the animal? And the reason why, Lewis, that it's morally permissible is because God has ordained non-rational animals, like the cow sitting in the field over there, to our good, the good of sustaining our own physical well-being in life. Since non-rational animals are ordered toward the good of us as human beings, rational animals, it is morally permissible to end their life, to utilize their meat to sustain our physical well-being. So the killing of the animal, Lewis, does not take on the form of cruelty or torture or anything like that. The will is not terminating or coming to an end in the movement in the death of the animal. Rather, visualize the wheel sort of going through the death of the animal and then ending in our own good, utilizing the meat of the animal for our own physical well-being. Consequently, taking the life of the animal is not an evil act. It takes on the form of good, the good for us as a human being. So bottom line, taking the life of animals is morally permissible when that action is ordered toward our good, insofar as we're utilizing whether the meat or maybe the skin of the animal for our own physical well-being, or the fur of the animal, whether for our own physical well-being of like eating the meat for sustenance, or even using their fur, say, for any sort of clothing and well-being of the body.
Thanks very much for that call. I note that the call is from Texas. Lewis, thanks for that call. But
a lot of hunting going on over there.
I've
so it's an important question to get right.
A few head of cattle in Texas when I've been there, Lewis. So I actually breathing a sigh of relief that was the answer. And again, thank you very much for the call. Dr. Karlo Broussard, our guest. Right now, 13 lines open. We're in hour 5 of our 6 hours of quarterly Ask, where we come to you to ask for your help to be fully funded for the next 3 months. 888-291-8000 is that number. I'll remind you that when you call, you're calling into this building where we are. Our colleagues have all got their phones set to our phone number.
Put them to work, man. They need some work.
And I'll tell you what, one of the nice things is a lot of times at the break or after the show is over, they'll tell us the stories that you told. So if you want to share your story, maybe we can share a little bit of it on the air. If you want to say why you gave, it's a lot of fun to get to hear those. So if you want to take your time and tell them your story, you're talking to people that we work with every day here in the building. Karlo, you were answering phones yesterday. I
was on the phone yesterday. I took about 4 calls. It was great chatting with people, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I enjoy it.
But also the other side of that is, if you want to get done quick, tell them, look, I'm on the side of the road, or I'm in a hurry, and they'll get you done so quickly. We'd like to, whichever way works for you, we'd like to do that. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000. I'll tell you a story that I heard today. Peggy told me that Joe is shameless. Joe went on the air yesterday and he said, please give money so I won't be humiliated, because the other apologists make more money than I do. Because Joe knows he's not our top fundraiser, all right? So he said, please, this woman called Peggy, Peggy picked up the line and said, she said, I'd like to give $500 because I don't want Joe to be humiliated.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that great?
Somebody loves Joe,
Somebody
man.
loves Joe, yeah. So, you can help Karlo out. It makes him look good, makes him look good if you
Well,
give
here's
his
my
out.
pitch. How about y'all call in right now and make a donation so that we can all look good and Catholic Answers can remain an operation and not have to close up shop.
There you go, 888-291-8000. Calls have been coming in, but we still have 10 lines open because there's quite a few of our colleagues on the line. 888-291-8000. I do want you to know that any gift, any monthly pledge is matched 100% up to $20,000 this hour. So it's a real opportunity to make sure your money is matched by a very generous donor. If we raise $15,000 this hour, we get $15,000. If we raise 20, we get 20. That's how it works. And we'd really like it to go to 20 because that's also happens to be the number we know we need to raise each hour in order to be fully funded. 888-291-8000. I do feel like, Karlo, if people will call, if there's people on the phone now, we'll get a few more. We can allow you to just keep answering questions.
Yeah, but they got to call. They got to show us that they want us to keep working.
Yeah, that's right.
You want us to keep working here at Catholic Answers, you got to call 888-291-8000 and make a donation. Now, there are those who just want to go online, right site, and without calling,
right.
They might be thinking to themselves, you know what, I'll just do it myself. Go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. You can fill out all the information yourself online. But you know what? We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to talk to you and hear your voice and know your name so that we can remember you. Yesterday, some of the ladies that I took the information from, and the names came up in conversation, like, you were being spoken of in the halls of Catholic Answers.
Oh, sure, that happens
in
all the time.
gratitude. So,
Yeah.
hey, give us a call. We want to get to know you. But if you want to do it by yourself, again, that's CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And then you can also text Catholic to 24365, 24365. And then the number to call in to make your pledge is 888-291-8000. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, we started out the hour with a $20,000 match. We have whittled that all the way down to a little bit more than $19,000. So, all right,
We got some more whittling
we
to
got
do.
some work to do. But there are folks who can make those larger donations. Maybe you could do one of those $500 or $1,000 or maybe even several $1,000 gifts. If you can do that, it's kind of one of those situations that we've noticed when we do make our matches. It's because people have come in at all levels, from the $10 level to the $5,000 level. Then we're all right. So if you're able to do that, today is our last day that will come to you for the next 3 months. 888-291-8000.
You know, Si, to piggyback on what you just said, we have people in all different ranges of what they can donate. And that's what Scripture attests to. Like in Mark chapter 12, we read about the poor widow who put in what she could put in, which was less in comparison to others. But then you have St. Paul, for example, in 1 Timothy 6, talking about the rich who are to be generous and ready to share, storing up treasure in heaven. So even Scripture witnesses or attests to people coming from different states of life, but all still being called to give according to what they can give. So again, 888-291-8000. Whether you can call in and just give $10 a month or even just a one-time $10 donation, we are grateful for that. 888-291-8000. But like you said, if there's somebody out there who can write that $5,000 check,
boy, you help.
That $10,000 check, by golly, we would love to receive that as well, and we will definitely be praying for you. I can promise you that. 888-291-8000.
888-291-8000 or safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Text the word Catholic. If you prefer texting, text the word Catholic to 24365. All right, let's put Karlo back to work. Let's go to Kalamazoo, Michigan.
I've been there before.
You been to Kalamazoo?
I gave a talk there before a long time ago when I was working for Father Spitzer.
It's got to be one of the best names of any town. Like Kalamazoo, I don't even know what that comes from. Like, someone's like, let's establish a town here in Michigan. What shall we call it? I've got an idea. Kalamazoo.
Maybe Dave here.
Well, maybe David knows. David in Kalamazoo, welcome.
Hi.
Hi. You got a question for Dr. Karlo? You're on the air.
Yes. So the question is about Judas and how his case disproves the doctrine of once saved, always saved, and predestination. So we know that Judas was one of the apostles. We know that Jesus prayed all night before he picked his 12 apostles.
Yeah.
We know that Judas, at some point, he was saved. Not only he was saved, he had a special place in heaven waiting for him where he would judge the 12 tribes of Israel. He was commissioned by Jesus to go out, perform miracles, cast out demons. So nobody that is damned to hell at that point would be able to do that. And then we know that after he betrayed Jesus, at that point he was damned. We know that the church doesn't say definitively whether he was saved or not. We know that God, in his infinite mercy, could have provided him forgiveness if he truly repented. But the point is that he was saved, and then at some point he was not saved. So I know how they would respond. They would say, well, Judas was never saved to begin with.
Yeah.
Then we create several problems.
Mm-hmm.
One, that God created evil, which we know that's nonsense. Two, that God created Judas just to set up the crucifixion emotion, which we know that's nonsense because Jesus himself said that he would lay down his life on his own terms. And three, if he was created to just betray Jesus, then why he's being punished for doing something that he was created? So I think that case debunks both Protestant doctrines. And if you allow me to just finish the question by saying that, in my opinion, the reason why Judas was selected is to show that the seat is true, the authority of the church is true, despite of whoever is sitting there. So that is to show that the infallibility of the church. Popes will come, bishops will come, some will be holy, some will not be that holy, but it doesn't take away the infallibility of the church, just like Jesus promised to Peter in Matthew.
Yeah. All right, so David, I think this argument has some strength to it. I think it is reasonable to assume that Judas was, quote unquote, saved, that he had an intimate, true relationship with Jesus Christ initially when he was called and began to follow Christ. He would be like the seed that our Lord speaks of in his parable of being planted and beginning to grow up into flower, but of course, withering away. So once we have that in place, then I do think we can reasonably say that even if he was not damned finally and dying in a state of mortal sin, he definitely committed a mortal sin when he betrayed our Lord. And given our Catholic understanding of the spiritual effects of a serious sin like betrayal of our Lord, that would have caused sanctifying grace to cease to exist in his soul and thereby lose the gift of salvation, at least when he betrayed our Lord, even if he did not die in final impenitence. Maybe he was indeed saved by God's mercy and the grace of repentance right before death. But even if that were the case, this still would be a strong argument refuting the once saved, always saved doctrine. Now, you brought up a Protestant will counter, just like they would counter any evidence that we would give to refute once saved, always saved, by saying that anyone who commits such a serious sin was never saved to begin with. And there, David, we have to employ evidence that would provide or that would show that such a believer is a legitimate believer to begin with. I think Judas serves as a good example of that he was a legitimate believer in Christ initially. We could also appeal to what I said already, the parable of the sower of the seed. Some seeds plant in a way that Jesus interprets it to be people receiving the word of God with joy and believing. That entails salvation, but yet withering away. And so we would employ those texts and other texts to show that a legitimately saved Christian can indeed fall away. I'm thinking of Galatians chapter 5, verses 1 through 4 as another example of Christians whom Paul says could possibly be severed from Christ, fall away from grace, and being a state where Christ is no longer of advantage to them. Now, you laid out 3 problems there, and I'll try to briefly touch on them, but we're going to have to go to our pitching here for our radio drive. But with regard to problem 1, God creating evil, even if Judas were damned or not damned, I'm not quite seeing how it would follow that God created evil. We know God can't create evil because evil is a privation, a lack of due being, and God doesn't create evil. He permits evil. Problem number 2, God created Judas to set up the crucifixion. Well, I will agree with you that God did not create Judas to set up the crucifixion. Did God will in order of providence where he will permit Judas to be a catalyst for the crucifixion? Yes. And that leads to the third problem where God creates Judas in order to betray Jesus. I would agree with you that God in no way will create someone for the sake of committing the sin. Rather, God wills in order of providence in which he creates Judas and permits Judas to commit the sin, which God then orders toward the greater good of our salvation. And so, David, we appreciate the call, my friend, and hopefully what I said in response there will be of some help.
I'll tell you what, got to go back to the phones for a little bit of fundraising. Each quarter we come to you for 6 hours. We're in the last 2 hours of that right now, and we've got a $20,000 dollar for dollar match and 18,000 of it left. We're halfway. We're not quite halfway. I don't want to exaggerate. We're a little more than a third of the way through the program this hour, and we have yet to raise $2,000. So I would ask you, if you've been waiting, this is a great time to call. Would you pick up the phone? 888-291-8000. Just 2 calls on right now and 14 lines open. Everybody that you'll speak to is in the building here with us. They are our colleagues, and they'd be very happy to speak with you. 888-291-8000. A $20,000 dollar for dollar match. We just had a donor. Let's see if Amanda in Minnesota, who gave almost $53 a month. Well, that's $630, a little more than $630 a year. It's all matched. It's 100% match. So that's a monthly recurring donation. That's 100% match to us today. On the other hand, Michael in Louisiana just gave $523.32.
Hey, I like hearing that from Louisiana boy.
And that was matched 100% as well. So whether you are giving a monthly pledge, 10, 20, maybe like Amanda did, a little more than 50. Maybe you can do $100 a month. I don't know, but if you do a monthly pledge, it's all going to be matched 100% up to $20,000 this hour. 888-291-8000. And if you do that one-time gift like Michael in Louisiana did, you will be also fully matched up to $20,000. 18,000 of that is left. 888-291-8000. Lots of lines open. A perfect time to call, and we are getting near the end here, so we do need your help. And another good reason to call, I just heard the music. I wasn't paying attention to the clock, but we're going to be taking a break for a minute and a half or so. You could be done in that time. Just call 888-291-8000. 11 lines open now. Maybe we could get that down into single digits. 888-291-8000. Safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Catholic Answers Live would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners in airing our daily program. Please support the stations and networks that carry us each day, ensuring that we have a platform for broadcasting the show. And please bear in mind that while we don't have to pay for airtime on our affiliate stations, neither do they contribute to the operating costs we incur. It's a great relationship, but it requires that we turn to you, our devoted listeners, for your prayers and financial support to cover our ever-growing expenses. Please call 888-291-8000 right now and help to keep Catholic Answers Live strong. That's 888-291-8000. Or you can donate securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. What began as a humble one-hour daily show that was carried by 4 stations has, with the generosity of many fantastic people like you, blossomed into a 2-hour broadcast heard on hundreds of AM and FM stations, the internet, Sirius XM radio, Facebook, YouTube, and via podcast. We don't make that possible. You do. We simply cannot continue this media mission without your most generous gift today. Call 888-291-8000 or log on to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and donate now. People tell us all the time how much they depend on Catholic Answers Live to help them better learn, live, and share their faith. What they're really saying is they depend on you for that. Will you come through for them right now? It only takes a couple of minutes to make a huge difference at 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Again, 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. No matter how much you give, be assured of our gratitude and know that God will richly bless you. Phone 888-291-8000 or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. It's important that you take this important step right now, today, to make sure that Catholic Answers Live is here tomorrow and for years to come. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Welcome back. Catholic Answers Live. I'm Cy Kellett, your host. Having a lot of fun. Dr. Karlo Broussard in studio with us, and it's Ask Me Anything. You can ask him anything. I say ask me anything, but it's ask him anything, all right? And we've got lines full, so we're going to get back to if you're on the line, don't worry. We're coming right to you. We're going to take just a minute here to do a little bit of fundraising because we've got to. We're in our final 90 minutes now. We've got 90 minutes left in our spring pledge drive, and we've got 12 lines open. I'll tell you what. We've got 18 of our colleagues on the phone, though, so that means 6 lines are full. That's wonderful. We are going to need more calls, however, to get close to using up. We really would. The main thing is we'd like to use up that $20,000 match this hour. And every pledge, whether it's a monthly pledge, a new monthly pledge, a monthly increase, whether it's a new one-time gift, whatever it is, it's getting matched 100%. We've talked about this before, but there's a place to give. From your Venmo account, you can give Bitcoin and all that digital money. You can give all kinds of things. But just give a call and they'll tell you how to do that. Or and the number to call is 888-291-8000, or go online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Please, would you? As I said, we're in our last 90 minutes, so if you would. Now pick up the phone and call. It would be very helpful to us because we will not come to you again I think because of the calendar, it's actually more like 3.5 months this year. 888-291-8000. Karlo, we got a good friend here with us.
Yeah, let's bring her on. She kills it every time she comes on, man, and sharing testimonies with us. And
yeah.
She's just a brilliant, wonderful.
Yes, married now. So
That's
I have to try to pronounce her married name. It got harder. So let's see how I do. Emily Dinany. Welcome.
You did it.
Did I do it right?
Yes.
Right.
Welcome,
That's
Emily.
good. Emily, one of the things you get to see is the testimonies that people give about what Catholic Answers has meant to them. What kind of things are people saying about Catholic Answers Live?
Yes, Sai. So Heather wrote to us, "Thank you, Catholic Answers. I'm getting confirmed for Easter, and that's because of all I've learned through Catholic Answers Live. God bless the work you all are doing." So that was in March, so she has already joined the church now.
Welcome home, Heather. So happy to hear it. We have been hearing more and more of that. And that's one of the things, Karlo, just to kind of go off of what Emily just said. You and I were talking about this is one of the things we can say to people when we say, would you support us, is we can say, well, why would I give? Because we have actually seen that this is a successful mode of sharing the gospel. This is a successful mode of inviting people into the church.
Yeah, it works. People are moved by what we do here at Catholic Answers. They're moved for the good of conforming their hearts and their minds to Christ. So it's quite simple for our listeners and viewers out there. If you want people like Heather to continue coming into the church, then you need to support our work here at Catholic Answers, because Catholic Answers, as Heather indicated, was an important means or an instrument that led her into the church. If you want Catholics to be confirmed in their faith, to be strengthened, then you need to support us. If you want Catholics to be equipped to share with others, like somebody probably shared with Heather, then you need to support us, because that's why we exist here at Catholic Answers. And of course, they can do that and offer that support, financial support, to be precise, by calling 888-291-8000.
Is that it? We've only had one testimony, Emily, or do you get others as well?
Oh, of course not. We have a ton. That was flooding, especially when we announced that we were doing our radio drive. So many people decided to share on X how the radio show has affected their faith. So Bree said, "So many Protestants I know, myself included, privately listened to hours of Catholic Answers while we wrestled through our questions. Thank you for the work you all do. You're bringing so many people home."
Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. What was the name? I missed the name at the beginning.
Bree.
That was Bree. Thank you, Bree. That's beautiful. I know that method works because I've been that secret listener before. You know, that person that I got to work through some things, and to hear it in the privacy of your car. That's where I've spent my life, is in my car. But you know, some people. Like, we get letters all the time from people who it was in prison that they heard us and they began to be exposed to our
I'm glad you
materials.
brought that up, because I met a gentleman last year. I was speaking at the Oklahoma City Discipleship Conference, and a gentleman came up to me and said, "Karlo, I just got out of prison." And it was like the week before he was introducing himself to me, and was thanking me particularly for my work, but just more generally for us at Catholic Answers, because it led to his conversion in prison. And so he came up to me to thank me for our work. And he had just got out. I mean, Eric Tafoya?
Eric Tafoya.
Yeah,
the great
he was
Eric
here
Tafoya.
just, not too long ago,
That's
right?
right. I forgot.
He is a living testimony of somebody who was in prison, and our work ministered to him, and he was moved and converted to Catholicism. And now he's like a super evangelist, man, on the streets witnessing to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so if our listeners and viewers want these types of stories to continue coming in, people's hearts and minds continue to be changed and conformed to Christ and his church, then you need to call 888-291-8000 and help us continue this great work, because without your financial support, we can't do it.
I got to tell you why we have Emily on with us too. I'm going to give you, because this happened. This is not the first time this has happened. In the few moments we've had her on, we've gone from having $18,000. I'm serious. I'm not joking with you. We went, just since you came on with us, we went from having $18,000 of match money to we're at $11,500 of match money, Emily.
Well, I'm just going to go in my office
we should
here.
Both leave.
Just let Emily take the reins.
Take it away. Tell people why they should give to Catholic Answers. Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, let's do another story here. So
Okay.
Andrew, actually, he addressed this to Steve Ray, and he wrote, "My wife and I will be confirmed during the Easter Vigil, and all 4 of our children will be baptized. Thank you for taking my call on Catholic Answers."
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Steve is amazing.
Yeah.
He is such a good
Yeah.
and holy man.
Yeah.
I appreciate his friendship, and his journey is phenomenal. But Emily, I'm glad you shared that because it testifies to what we do here at Catholic Answers. It's not just a one-man show. Like our apostolate and our
100%.
mission here at Catholic Answers involves a variety of
variety, yeah.
different folks who are trained in theology and philosophy are able to offer something that might meet the needs of one person that another could offer and may not meet, So that's the benefit that we have here at Catholic Answers of having a variety of different voices to try and share the gospel and the fullness of truth in the Catholic faith. And that's a living testimony. Steve Ray, who's not on staff, but yet a guest on Catholic Answers Live, is able to minister to someone and lead them to conversion. But without the financial support of our generous listeners and viewers, that could not happen. And so if our viewers and listeners want us to continue to do this great work, bringing on new guests to offer their talents and their skills and their gifts and what God has given them, people need to call 888-291-8000 and make their pledge, or they can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, fill it out on their own, or text Catholic to 24365.
The number is 888-291-8000. Emily, I won't chase you away if I let Karlo answer a question for a minute, will I? You'll hang out with us?
No, you won't. Yeah, I'd love to hear him do it.
Maybe we should let her try to answer the question.
She will. She'll kill it too. But let's. Joe called from Oxnard, California, and we had Karlo on at the time. So we'll let Joe talk with Karlo. Joe, thank you for the call. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much. Hey, so are venial sins we commit that we don't specifically ask forgiveness for at Mass, either because we forget about it or we don't realize they're sins, are those forgiven at Mass?
Okay, so if I'm hearing the question correctly, you're asking, are venial sins forgiven at Mass? Is that a fair summary of the question?
Yeah, I mean, I know they are. I know you don't have to go to confession
Okay.
in order to have those forgiven. But, I mean, what if you think you rightfully got angry and yelled at your mother?
Okay.
Right? To me, that's a venial sin at a minimum.
Okay.
But if I don't think it is, and I forget about it.
Oh.
So I think perhaps maybe what you're asking is what are the conditions that need to be met in order for the guilt of mortal sin to incur? And so the Catechism of the Catholic Church articulates and explains those 3 conditions in paragraphs 1855 and following. And it lists the 3 conditions of grave matter, like the action has to be gravely serious, full knowledge, and deliberate consent. Now, what you're asking about pertains to paragraph 1862, where the Catechism articulates the different scenarios where the guilt of venial sin is incurred. One way in which the guilt of venial sin is incurred is if you commit a sin that is of a less serious matter. That's not grave matter. But note here in paragraph 1862 that it explains another way, Joe, in which a person can incur the guilt of venial sin. And that is if the person commits something that is gravely serious, gravely immoral, but yet hasn't met one or the other 2 conditions, whether that be full knowledge or full deliberate consent. So it's possible that someone could be lacking due to no fault of their own in full knowledge about the gravity of the immoral behavior, and if commit the immoral behavior, only incur the guilt of venial sin rather than incurring the guilt of mortal sin. Or if the individual maybe perhaps even has full knowledge of the gravity of the immoral behavior, and yet, for whatever reason, does not have full deliberate consent. Maybe there are certain factors within his or her life, psychological conditions, that could mitigate the culpability of the individual and thereby not incur the guilt of mortal sin. That's in paragraph 1862 of the Catechism of the Catholic Church. So I think to answer your question fundamentally is that, Joe, it's possible that someone can be committing a sin that's gravely immoral and yet not incur the guilt of mortal sin, but rather only incur the guilt of venial sin. So hopefully that's helpful for you, my friend. And I would encourage you to check out paragraph 1862 specifically, but read the preceding and subsequent paragraphs as well, because the Catechism has a great treatment on mortal and venial sin.
Dr. Karlo Broussard, our guest. I'm Cy Kellett, your host. Also on with us, Emily Dinany, who is a wonderful member of our staff. But boy, did we get a blessing when we got her. She's a podcaster and YouTuber on her own right and doing wonderful things for the faith. But she's here today with us to share with some of the things people have said about this program and this apostolate in hopes of encouraging you. And Emily is apparently a very encouraging people, because she has been very successful when she has come on with us. She's been very helpful to us. And so I'll just ask you again, we've got $10,000 left of our $20,000 match, and we've got 19 minutes left in the hour. Could you pick up the phone and help us use up that $10,000? We've got plenty of lines open. We haven't even come close to filling up all the lines at any point. So whether you want to make a pledge of $5 or $500 or $5,000, anybody who calls, there's going to be somebody to pick up that phone for you right now. We're in the last hours now of our pledge drive. We're almost in the last hour. 888-291-8000, or safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. You can also text the word Catholic to 24365. But let's fill up those lines right now and hopefully use up all of this $10,000 match we've got left. 888-291-8000. Emily, give us more of what you got. Oh, sorry, you were potted down for a second. No, it's our fault in the studio. We had you potted down. Go ahead, Emily. What do you got?
Oh, you're good. They wrote, when I worked in youth ministry, teens would always ask me a bunch of questions. Thankfully, on my 2-hour commute, I was listening to Catholic Answers the majority of the time. When they would say, how do you know all of this? I would reply with Catholic Answers Live.
Oh, isn't
2-hour commute? Wow.
I know, that's a very dedicated catechist.
That's actually what I used to do when I was working here in the office.
You know, I love, every now and then we get catechists who call, and I always try to make sure they leave with at least one book, you know, that we get. We have a very generous donor who pays for these books that we send out. And that's such a cool thing, though, that Chris always talks, you know, because he's a Marine, he always talks about a force multiplier. That all we do is we help the person who's teaching the faith. Yeah. But then that person goes, and how many dozens of kids, maybe scores of kids did that person reach with the fullness of the faith? That's beautiful.
Introduce them to our work at Catholic.com, or our YouTube channels and our podcasts. You know, that goes a long way to where you get one or two who start reading the stuff on Catholic.com, listening to the Catholic Answers Live, and then they share that with their friends, and then you have the multiplication issue.
They tell two friends, and then they tell two friends.
Exactly, yeah.
Emily Dinany, our guest for this part of the hour. Thanks for coming in, Emily. How many of these do you think you have? How many of these testimonies do you think you have, if you had to guess?
Thousands.
Do you really?
We have thousands.
Are you kidding me, or is that real? That's real?
No, I'm not kidding you. They're not all super organized, but they are there.
Well, not all of our listeners are super organized. So give me a couple more then. Let's hear some more of these things that people are saying.
They are organized enough, though, to give us a call at 888-291-8000 and make a pledge.
Right.
That they are.
That's right. Go ahead, do that. 888-291-8000. 13 lines open right now, just 4 people on the line, and we have about $10,000 left in our match. Go ahead, Emily.
So James wrote to us, Catholic Answers brought me to accept the truth of the Catholic faith, and I was brought into the church in 2024 because of you, and am now discerning a vocation to the priesthood.
Oh my gosh.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, you know, I have known some Catholic Answers priests, that is, guys who really discovered the joy of the faith and the fullness of what it meant on Catholic Answers, and have gone on to be priests. Yeah. So
I actually have a testimony to piggyback on that, I had a student that I was teaching. I'm an adjunct professor for Holy Apostles College and Seminary online, and one of my students from the last semester, he shared with me in an email, guys, he was a Reformed Baptist who was very devoted, debating a Catholic. That Catholic knew his stuff, challenged him. He began researching, came across Catholic Answers, and he was saying my work in particular and how it led him to become Catholic, and how he experienced in coming out of his Baptist community, he received a formal letter of excommunication, and he was experiencing a great degree of loneliness. But he was sharing with me, it was our work at Catholic Answers and listening to us on Catholic Answers Live that supported him in that state of loneliness to try and get him through that time. And so he became Catholic, got involved at his parish in apologetical ministry, and he informed me at the end of the semester that he was joining the priesthood.
Oh my gosh, that just got better and better as you went. Wow.
Yeah, so isn't that amazing? So listen, look what we have. Listeners and viewers, 888-291-8000. You got to call in right now, because so far we've had testimonies of somebody who've converted to the faith, right, from some other tradition. We've had testimonies of prison inmates who have converted. We've had testimonies of people going to the priesthood, testimony of a catechist who's been assisted and helped by our work. And that could not happen if not for people who donate and keep us going in our operation and our mission. So that's 888-291-8000. Please give a call and make that pledge right now.
I forgot to take the quick break that I was supposed to take, so we'll take. I didn't do it, right, Johnny? No, okay, so I got a little confused, Johnny. We're going to take a very 30-second break here, but that's a perfect time to call. 13 lines open, 5 people on the line right now, I think probably a little less than 10,000. I'll let you know when we come back on the other side, left to use up in our match money. Lots of folks coming in with all different size gifts, including a gift up to $3,000. It's going to take that in the next 13 minutes for us to use up this last $10,000 of match money. 888-291-8000.
Catholic Answers Live.
In Morse code, the sequence SOS is a distress call. It's been said that it stands for Save Our Souls. Well, right now our world is in big trouble, and we're putting out an SOS call for help. Will you answer that call? St. Paul Street Evangelization, a Catholic nonprofit, has hundreds of teams who share the good news with souls who don't know Jesus. Catholic Answers is supported in part by St. Paul Street Evangelization. Visit streetevangelization.com to get involved.
Eight 888-291-8000 is the number to call and make your pledge. We're coming up. We're just about to finish our almost last hour of the pledge drive. Next hour will be the last hour. We'll come to you for the next 3.5 months. We try to come to you quarterly, just the way the calendar worked this year, that it's an extra long break now. We've got $10,000 still to use up. Why don't you, if you would, Emily, tell them about the premiums and the levels of giving, and I will look to see if we are under 10,000 left right now. That would be very helpful. Emily Dinany.
Yes. Awesome. So if you give $50 or more one-time gift, our small appreciation to you is shown by us sending you one of our latest publications. It's the Apostolate of Courtesy by Robert Greving, and it teaches us how to use kindness in evangelizing. So really awesome practical read. And then if you give a one-time gift of $500 or more, you will receive Jimmy Akin's newest book, Evidence for Christ, which is also a phenomenal book helping you defend Jesus. So there's also one last gift. If you do a monthly donation of $20 or more, you will become part of Catholic Answers monthly giving club known as Catholic Answers Defenders, which I'm actually in charge of. That's why I have the blessing of seeing all of these different testimonials from you guys. So if you join that club, you can receive a welcome gift with a free t-shirt, free car magnet, and you will also get a permanent 20% discount code to our shop. So that means all of your books, 20% off. There are some exclusions, I will point that out. But most of them, 20% off. So yes, you'll get monthly newsletters from me, updating you, giving you some insights. You'll also get some anniversary gifts. On your 6-month anniversary, you'll get a free book from us and some other perks in there. So check that out. Again, $20 a month or more, you'll get some perks, $50 one-time gift or $500 one-time gift.
Emily, phone's ringing again. I think folks know, and I said I'd check and see. We're at $9,000 left. If we can use up, well, basically it's 9 minutes, $9,000. We have $1,000 a minute, and we're there. 888-291-8000 is the number to call and make your pledge. You can go safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. I will try, if I can, get Karlo to answer another question before we have to go this hour, but we're back next hour. So if you're on the line and we're not able to get to that this hour, hang on for next hour. $9,000 left in our match. And
there are folks out there who can help us achieve that. No problem.
We've had some folks come in at big numbers, and
Yes.
but at all different. The way to say it is all different numbers, and it's gotten us this far. But let's use up that last $9,000 of the match. 888-291-8000. Every pledge is matched up to $20,000. Well, now there's 9,000 of that left. So if your pledge is still, if you pick up the phone now at this late moment of this hour. You pledge $100, it's going to be $200. You pledge $1,000, it's going to be $2,000. We had someone a little while ago pledge $3,000. That became $6,000 to us. So
when else can you do what Jesus did in multiplying things?
I know, it's
now
pretty
is
good,
the time,
huh?
right now.
That's right.
Do it.
No, not very often. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. Emily, I feel like one of the things that we have tried to do is answer the call of parents who say, help me, my kids have left the full-time practice of the faith. Do you think that this apostolate is helpful in that regard? Do you think young people, in other words, are open to responding to the faith?
100%. I think young people, speaking from personal experience, sometimes they don't like to hear what they're being taught from their parents directly or from their grandparents that they've known forever. And so when they go online, they type in a question, Catholic Answers is here to provide them a Catholic answer. And they're able to learn not just from their parents, which is, amazing, but also from some of our amazing and talented apologists, like, of course, you, Cy, and Dr. Karlo Broussard.
You notice she put you before me. Congratulations, buddy.
And she also put me in the apologist category, which, why, thank you.
You are. Come on. You've written quite a few books.
Amen.
You've done a great job.
One and a half.
You've done a great job for the
written
kingdom.
1.5 books.
Yeah, and
More
for
than one.
and for those listeners and viewers out there, if you want us to continue reaching young people, call in right now, 888-291-8000. Fill out the form online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And Cy, I was thinking about this last night. Like the donations and the financial support that our donors provide for us through these drives allows for us to keep on board these wonderful young adults who are so talented in helping us at Catholic Answers stay relevant for the changing landscape in the media world.
Right.
So Emily and Edgar and
Thomas and
Luke Bender and all the team, like all the young blood, as we say,
young, smart,
Absolutely.
on fire. They're amazing people.
But without our donors' financial help, we could not do that. We would be dead in the dust, dead in the wind. We would not be able to stay relevant. So that's why people need to call 888-291-8000 to make that donation. We need still $9,000 left.
No, we're down to 8,000.
8,000. So we need 8,000 more dollars in these remaining minutes so that we can continue doing this work to not only reach, the gray hairs out there in the pew, but to reach the young adults.
Yeah. And we love getting the gray hairs out there in the pew, too.
Amen, brother.
That's happened a lot of times. How many times have people called and said, I've been away for 40 years or something?
Exactly.
You almost want to cry when you hear
we
that.
We want to minister to everyone. As St. Paul says in his first letter to the Corinthians, I become all things to all men that I might save all. And that's what we're here about at Catholic Answers, not just to minister to one particular niche audience, but to all people who are inquiring about the truth of Jesus Christ and his Catholic Church.
888-291-8000, 888-291-8000. I'll let you know one call from Scotland so far this hour. So thank you, Scotland, for coming in for us. Emily Dinany, that sounds kind of Scottish to me. What kind of name is that? It's Irish?
It's Irish.
It's Irish? Well, it'll do. Thank you so much. Emily, you're a gift. Thank you for coming on and helping us out.
Thank you for having me.
God bless.
All right, they're going to keep answering the
God
phones,
bless.
and then we're going to come back for another hour. This is a perfect time to call because we'll step away for a few minutes. Guaranteed They will pick up the phone and get you done in about 90 seconds to 2 minutes if that's what you want. If you want to share your story, please share it. We'd love to share it on the air. People will talk about it here in the halls. We want to hear those stories. Now is the time to pick up the phone and call. Still about 8,000 left. 888-291-8000. Or go online, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Or you can just text the word Catholic to 24365. 888-291-8000. Let's fill up those phones right now. Welcome back, Catholic Answers Live. I am Cy Kellett, your host. In studio with me, Dr. Karlo Broussard, and it's Ask Me Anything. We've got 6 of our 6, I almost said 7 of our 6 lines full. I don't know where I learned to do arithmetic, but 6 of our 6 lines full here. So lots of great questions coming up for Karlo. We are also in the last hour now of our spring pledge drive. We ask you we spend 6 hours, or we take some time out of 6 hours each quarter to ask you to fund us for the next quarter. We've been doing this radio program for almost 30 years now, and that has always been effective. It's always worked. And so I will let you know now where we are going into the last hour, what we need, and ask you for your help to get us there. Last hour, we had a $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match. And it was just for the first time out of the 5 hours we've done, 4 of them we met our match. So last hour, we came close, but we didn't get there. So we came up just about $5,000 short. Let's call it, let's just say $5,000, even though it may have been slightly less than that. And so this hour, we have a smaller match, so we're in better shape already. We can meet it. And if we meet these matches, we're in good shape as far as being funded. So this hour, $15,000 is available for match money. So if you were to pick up the phone right now and call 888-291-8000 and say, I will pledge $100, it'll become $200. If you said 1,000, it would become 2,000. If you said 15,000, it would become 30,000. As the hour progresses, we'll let you know how we're doing, but I am going to let Karlo answer questions, Dr. Karlo Broussard, our guest. And we'll try to just do a regular radio show and ask you for help in meeting the match for this hour, $15,000 dollar-for-dollar match, 888-291-8000. I'll remind you that when you call that number, you are speaking to one of our colleagues. One of the people that we work with each day, go on retreat with at Easter time, and hang out with all year. So if you've got a question for them about Catholic Answers, I'm sure they can help you with it. And even better, if you'd like to share your story, those mean a lot to the staff here, and we'd love it if you would do that. If you don't want to share your story, if you just want to get done quickly, tell them that as well. 888-291-8000. Karlo, you ready for another hour of Ask Me Anything?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We had some great calls in hour 1. I'm looking forward to some great calls in hour 2 so that we can do what we do here at Catholic Answers. But without the financial support of our viewers and our listeners, we can't do it. So they need to call in at 888-291-8000. You know, Cy, one thought that occurred to me is, you know, given our cultural media landscape of how things have developed, I see we have 3 options. A, we sort of go with the flow, become combative, negative, and polemical in order to generate financial support to stay in operation.
There's always people who will pay for anger.
Exactly.
In the media, always.
B, we close up shop because we don't want to become combative, polemical, and negative, and angry, and have that angry voice. Or C, people call in right now at 888-291-8000 to pledge their financial support to keep us and stay in operation so that we can keep our voice at Catholic Answers, a voice of clarity and charity, a non-combative approach to apologetics, and simply proposing what the church teaches, offering clear explanations as to why she teaches that. Folks, in our cultural media landscape, we can't have that voice without your financial support because it's just not going to work, because people often sort of want that combative stuff. So if you want us at Catholic Answers to continue preserving that Catholic Answers voice, which has proven over time, over 30 years now, right, to be effective in helping people, then call in at 888-291-8000 so we can continue doing this work. 888-291-8000. Let me tell you where we are right now. We've got 13 lines open, 1 caller on. So you plenty of lines open if you'd like to call in and make that pledge. I will tell you this too, towards the end of the hour of the last hour of these pledge drives, I'm just telling you from experience, those lines will start to fill up. But if we
If everybody waits till the end, it'll be hard for us to take those calls, and we will miss out on some pledges, some gifts. So you're doing us a big favor if you call early this hour and help us out. Amen. It's the last hour of our fundraising for the next 3.5 months. We have a $15,000 dollar for dollar match. So if you could do, we've had a lot of folks coming in at the $20 level or the $20 a month level, and it's been wonderful. But if we're going to make that match, we do need a few that can come in at the $500, the $1,000, maybe the $5,000 level. If you are one of those, please pick up the phone and call. Everybody, we got a line for you, 888-291-8000. I'm going to go to the other phones now and let Karlo do the job that he loves to do. Let's go to Pat in Kansas, listening on Divine Mercy Radio. Pat, thank you for waiting. Go ahead with your question.
Okay. I'm a cradle Catholic. I always was told that a baby needed to be baptized as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But I've been hearing lately that if the family is not church going, that they probably wouldn't baptize that baby in the Catholic Church if that were the case.
Yeah, Pat. Yeah, because the sacrament of baptism imposes upon the family and even upon the child certain duties and responsibilities in becoming a member of the household of God. And so if the family and the parents aren't willing to live in accord with those promises, they would be bearing false witness, first of all, but then also they would be thwarting or sort of impeding what those graces are ordered toward in giving the child the sanctifying grace in the sacrament of baptism. And so this is why if the family is not willing to raise the kid in accord with the Catholic faith that they're professing on behalf of the child in the sacrament of baptism, then they ought to refrain from administering the sacrament. Now, there is a possibility to where you have a situation to where maybe perhaps the parents aren't willing to raise the child Catholic, and they don't want to take on that responsibility, and maybe a grandparent, maybe in your case, I don't know if this is your case, but a grandparent can have that conversation with their children and say, hey, listen, I recognize you don't want to raise your child Catholic, you don't want to bear that responsibility, but what if we get the child baptized and I'll, the grandparent speaking here, take on the responsibility of raising the child Catholic? And then hopefully, in God's providence and by His grace, maybe the parents will say yes, and then the grandparent can take the child to be baptized and make the promises to raise the kid Catholic. And so that would be a potential solution to the dilemma or the problem of a scenario where the parents aren't willing to baptize the child because they're not going to be willing to raise the child Catholic. So that's what I would say in response to that.
And I am going to leave it there, Pat. As you know, we're also doing some fundraising today, so I've got to go back to the phones. We got a $15,000 dollar for dollar match this hour, and it is the last hour of our fundraising for this quarter. Your help is needed. I want to thank Teresa in Maryland for her $1,000 gift. Plus, she paid the credit card fees on that one. And how about Jonathan in Texas, who did $50 a month, but he also paid the fees. So it's actually $52.60 a month that Jonathan made. Both of those are matched 100%, up to $15,000. We've got a 100% match on right now. 5 folks have called while Karlo was answering Pat's question. 5 folks got on the line, but 11 lines are open. 888-291-8000.
And you know, Cy, I think Pat's question testifies to what we do here at Catholic Answers, and that is not only answer doctrinal questions, like what do we believe, but also, in Pat's case, pastoral issues.
Yeah.
You know, here at Catholic Answers, we're here to journey with people, to accompany people in their lives and helping them with pastoral issues. This is something that we take very seriously here at Catholic Answers. We pray, we discern, we ask for the guidance of the Holy Spirit, that we can offer good, healthy, spiritual, wise advice in these sorts of issues so that people can live more in conformity with Christ and grow in holiness. It's not just about the head, it's also about the heart. It's not just about the doctrine, it's also about accompanying people and journeying with them in their walk with the Lord. And so we can't do that without financial support. We can't do that without the help of our listeners and our viewers. So please, we invite you to call in at 888-291-8000, be a part of this great mission, this ministry that we do here at Catholic Answers. Again, 888-291-8000. And we can help many more people, continue to help many more people like we're helping Pat and others, not just with doctrinal issues, but also pastoral issues.
We got the phone lines open down to single digits. Let's see if we can fill them up. We have not for that. It's been a very good pledge drive, and we're very grateful, but we have not filled up the phones once. It's been... there's been a steady flow of calls, which has made it possible for us to meet our matches 4 out of the 5 hours we've been on the air asking you for your support. We're now in our 6th hour. Let's see if we can fill up those lines. Could you call and make your pledge? And again, I will emphasize, in any amount, you should not feel that you're taking a line from somebody else.
Exactly.
You're welcome to tell the person you want to get it done. Oh, now we're in single digits. Now we're down to 8 lines open. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000, or safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. If you're able to do a $50 gift, it'll be matched 100%, but we'll send you this beautiful new book, The Apostolate of Courtesy, How to Save Souls and Change the World Through the Power of Manners. That's from Robert Grieving, a beautiful new book.
Something that's definitely needed in our culture.
Yeah, and I do think people notice that about Catholic Answers. I know sometimes we get snippy, or we're not perfect. I'm not saying that, but we try at least to have good manners, to let people know that they're welcome, to not be combative or negative. It is something we actually believe in, and we try to hold each other to it as well. I mean, I know if I came on here and I was a jerk one day, then Darren or Edgar or Karlo
That's
would
the
say,
beauty of being a
"Stop
part
it."
of a family, right?
Yeah,
That's
right.
the Catholic Answers family. We
Right.
hold each other accountable above reproach to walk with the Lord.
Yeah. Usually they just give you a kind of a sad look that makes you, oh, I blew that one. They're like, really? That's what you wanted to say? But I think it is a positive thing. And I think we do believe in the apostolate of courtesy. And that's why I feel really, I don't feel shy about asking for your support for 2 reasons. We spend the money well. I know we're not wasting the money. And 2, I know that it's the most important message in the world, the message of salvation in the person of Jesus Christ and through his sacraments. And it can, and when you deliver it with kindness, it's powerfully effective. Maybe you could come in at the $500 level. Maybe we do need some folks who can make
Amen.
a $500 gift. We'll send you that book, The Apostolate of Courtesy, but we'll also send you Jimmy Akin's brand new book. This is the new book from Jimmy Akin. We want to send it out to you. Evidence for Christ, How We Know that Jesus is the Messiah. Look at that. Just 4 lines open. We could do it. We could fill these lines up.
Let's do it, man.
291-8000. I know it's going to happen too, because look who's here. Christine. Look, there's the worker bees here, and then there's the directors of offices. And here's the director of development. Oh, you got to put her mic on. Her mic's not on. Director of development. She was trying to talk over me, and she couldn't do it. Christine Venditti, the director of development here at
Welcome.
Catholic Answers. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Oh, there's the mic. Perfect. Thanks, guys. 6 lines open, so we need to get that back down at least to 4. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. But Karlo and Sai, how are you doing?
Pretty good, actually. I mean, it's been a pretty good, steady pledge drive, and the calls have been, and because people have been very, very generous.
Aren't our supporters awesome?
They are, and so many nice stories. I mean, let me see. I'll find one for you. I'll just tell you. We get these notes. Amanda, I think I mentioned Amanda in Minnesota before, who made a $50 a month pledge. She's on fire for this mission, and she loves the joy and prayers of the apostolate. Like, I sit here getting those notes during the pledge drive. How am I having a bad day? I'm having a good day.
Impossible to. I saw Teresa. If you're listening, I saw you send a check through. Thank you so much. It's amazing to see names of people who we know come through, who are supporters, who have been with us for many, many years. I love seeing new names too. So if you
Absolutely.
are someone who has listened and you think, okay, this show happens and you don't really need me. No, we do need you. But not only do we need you, we want to get to know you too.
Exactly.
So please call in. There's only 3 lines open.
3 lines. Here we go.
So
3 lines open.
888-291-8000.
Let's see if we can fill them up.
We really, really are so grateful to all of our supporters, and it's a community. That's the thing, is that we hear these stories from people, and we hear callers who call in who have been with us through their faith journey, and then hearing them at the part where either they come into the faith or someone who they've been talking to, they come into the faith. It excites us. We get to be a part of it, and it's only possible through support. So we really appreciate and need all of the generosity that you are able to give. Thank you so much.
Again, the number is 888-291-8000. Now there's 4 lines open, 888-291-8000. You can also go, it all goes to the same match if you go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. You see a side of this that Karlo and I don't see. The people that have enough money that they can be the person who gives us the match money. Why do they do it? Why do they give us this match money?
They are such special people, and they are wanting to bring you along, the listener, into this joy of giving with them. So they have been extraordinarily blessed, and they want to excite anyone else to give alongside. So when we say you call in, your gift is doubled, that's because somebody else out there wants you to call in and experience what that joy of supporting Catholic Answers has brought to them.
Beautiful.
And it really is a joyful experience.
Where do these people live?
They're all over.
No, really. Like, are they? We have supporters, big donors, supporters all over that will do this.
All over, and I fly all over to see them. So if you want to be a big supporter, I will come and see you personally.
I met one once in Georgia with you. Remember that? That was exciting.
We
and
had
what
the
a
best
nice
pork chop ever.
And a really truly generous. Like, some people are just this way. Like, this guy started like 3 businesses, all of them successful.
Yes.
I have no idea how you become a person like that. But then he gives us the money and says, go out and match it. And it's really cool.
When you've been blessed and you're able to bless others, that has got to be just the best feeling.
Our Lord did say it's better to give than to receive.
There you go. Exactly. 888-291-8000 or text Catholic to 24365.
And can't they call in and say, hey, I want to send in a check?
Yes.
Maybe they don't want to give their credit card information, and they can call in and say, hey, can you take my information down? I'll send in a check.
Absolutely. You can pretty much give any way you want to. You can ask for information to send in a stock gift. You can donate cryptocurrency. If you have something to give, we will take it.
Darren, I believe, suggested yesterday, maybe it wasn't Darren, I can't remember. Somebody said if you have jewelry, just put it in an envelope and hand it over.
Size 5.5 for rings. That's perfect.
No, you're not getting the rings. Oh, she tells her ring size. 888-291-8000, the number to call. 888-291-8000. Will you hang around if I let Karlo answer a question? Because I have to let him answer questions. And Jordan is in Birmingham, Alabama. Jordan, thank you. You've been very patient waiting. Go ahead with your question for Karlo. Jordan? I think you might be muted.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
we got you now. You're on the air, Jordan. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
Hey, so my question is not really theological or doctrinal or dogmatic. It's really kind of like you were saying, for kind of like similar to pastoral advice is what I need. So I'm a new Catholic. I was confirmed a little over a month ago.
Beautiful.
Welcome home.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I feel like in order to really get the best advice and to explain my situation, I need to get a little backstory. I had the opportunity to be confirmed in November, and my sponsor heavily recommended against that because he didn't want me to treat the faith and religion like a hobby and then drop it after 6 months if I become disinterested. So I stayed in OCIA. I started back last year around October and was confirmed in March.
Okay.
But as I progressed in my formation and God kind of revealed himself to me in different ways and I learned more about the Catholic faith, it was just so exciting, and my natural reaction is just to want to share it with everybody, especially the folks who were closest to me, like
Beautiful.
my friends and family.
Wow.
However, not many people, especially in this part of the country, are very receptive to the Catholic faith. So I quickly learned, that the best way for me to share my faith is just to pray that God gives me the opportunity and will open one of those doors for me, and for me to just kind of keep my mouth shut.
Wait, Jordan, could I ask you a quick question?
Absolutely.
Are you saying Alabama is not a hotbed of Catholic faith? I'm getting the feeling you're suggesting Alabama might not be a hotbed of Catholic faith.
Well, I mean, what's interesting, we're known for being Southern Baptist.
Right.
But, here in Birmingham, I've told people that the town of Birmingham is actually great for Catholics with the amount of resources we have.
Right.
EWTN is based here.
That's right.
Mother Angelica, Shrine of the Most Blessed Sacrament,
Right.
Franciscan missionaries. Anyway, but yeah, it's a really tough life down here. But I've just done a lot of praying that God will give me the opportunity to be able to share my faith. However, I'm afraid that if I keep my mouth shut and wait for that opportunity, people around me will see that, oh, Jordan must have lost interest in his faith because he's not really talking about it anymore. So I feel like I'm in a bit of a catch-22.
Yeah.
I really don't know the best way to approach that,
Yeah, Jordan. So thank you, first of all, brother, for calling in and asking for this advice. So I got a couple of thoughts to share, and we'll see what you think. So first of all, you're discerning correctly that you don't want to be over-imposing and like over-exuberant to where you drive people away and being annoying with it. But at the same time, you're recognizing you don't want to be completely silent. So one of the things that we can think about and pray about, as you said, wait for opportunities to share. But in natural conversation, people are normally going to ask you, hey, what did you do this weekend? Right? What's going on in your life? What's up, man? And that's when evangelization comes in, because evangelization, brother, is just sharing your own lived experience. So you might be able to share in that experience, in that conversation, well, you know what? This weekend I had a great weekend. I went to Mass, had great fellowship, and we studied this particular passage in the Bible. And whenever you share in that way, there's really not much they can say in response as an objection or pushback, because you're sharing your own lived experience. And they got one of two options. They're either going to say, oh, that's interesting, and move on to something else, or they're going to ask a question, a follow-up question. So which Bible passage did y'all talk about at Mass? And so that the conversation starts in that way by you taking the initiative. Now, there's another scenario in how this plays out. Maybe perhaps they might say something that's sort of poking at the Catholic faith. They might take a jab, right? And then you can just honestly engage in that conversation and say, oh, well, wait a minute, that's an interesting thing you said right there. And then you can simply ask, what made you come to that conclusion? What's the reasons behind you thinking that? That's interesting. I'm interested to find out and to know. So it's just an honest inquiry to get at what they're thinking and what they're feeling, brother. And that is to get them to tell their personal story. And then you can follow up and say, well, that's interesting. Have you ever considered, just invite them, have you ever considered the alternative view of that, like in the Catholic Church? And invite them whether they're interested in hearing that view. And they're either going to say yes or no. If they say no, well, Jesus said, cast dust the sand off your sandals and move on. Don't cast your pearl before the swine. Or they're going to say, yeah, I actually have considered the Catholic view of that. Then you can respond and say, well, what don't you like about that? What you think is wrong? What do you think is wrong with that view? And then in that sort of natural conversation, the emotional barriers go down immediately, because there it's not a combat, it's not a fight, it's not a debate. It's simply friends honestly having a conversation and inquiring about the different views. So hopefully that can be helpful for you, my friend.
I'll tell you what, I'd love to send you two books. Usually we don't do this during Pledge Drive, but I'm going to. How to Talk about Jesus with Anyone. and then Jimmy's new book, Evidence for Christ. If you'll hang on, we'll send those to you. I also want Edgar to tell you about John Martinoni, who is down there, the great John Martinoni, down there in Alabama. If you could have some contact with him and the Christian Bible
Christian Society.
BibleChristianSociety.com. Check that out. But Jordan, thank you. We got to do a little bit of fundraising here, but thank you very much for the call. Do hang on the line so you can get those books. The number to call if you're ready to make your pledge, 888-291-8000. We're back to 9 lines open, so a perfect time to call. We've got a $15,000 dollar-for-dollar match this hour. We want to use it all up. 888-291-8000 or safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Isn't it beautiful to hear someone call in and ask for that type of advice so that they can bring the faith that a new Catholic, bring that to their community in a way that is not pushy, not going to turn people off of the faith, and how beautiful that Karlo's here to help him with that. And that's what these donations are supporting. They're supporting you and Karlo and Joe and Trent being here to give counsel, and all the guys, to people who are searching for answers, but also for that type of practical advice in their own lives. And this is how we're going to change the world.
Yeah, and if we weren't existing, he would not been able to get that sort of advice, nor would he have been able to get that advice immediately.
Exactly.
That's one of the beautiful things about Catholic radio, especially Catholic Answers Live, where if people have a need, they can get that need met right away. I'm thinking of like a 13-year-old girl who called one time asking for some theological help with her test, and she got it right away and made it A.
That's what we're here for. Hey, pick up the phone and call. We're going to take a couple minutes break. This is a perfect time to call. 888-291-8000. Still plenty of match money left out of that $15,000 we've got this hour. 888-291-8000. Christine Venditti, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, and thank all of you for your generosity.
All right, back with more calls for Karlo.
Will you do us a favor right now? Clear your mind of all other thoughts and reflect for just a moment on how Catholic Answers Live has made a difference in your life. Has our broadcast made your afternoon commute more meaningful? Perhaps you've learned how to explain the faith to family or friends in a more vibrant, convincing way. Something you heard here may have been just the thing you needed to look into joining or returning to the Catholic faith. All of these are serious reasons to be thankful, first and foremost to God, but also to all who have financially made it possible for us to air the show each day. Believe me, our gratitude could not be deeper. And we're coming to you today during our quarterly membership drive, asking you to join the ranks of the great people whose gifts and sacrifices have helped to turn around countless lives over the years, and, very possibly, helped make an eternal difference for many of them. Think about that for a moment. That's what your prayers and donations to Catholic Answers Live are doing. What a tremendous opportunity is being presented to you right now. Please don't let it pass you by. Call 888-291-8000 or visit CatholicAnswersRadio.com and let one of our fast, friendly customer service team members take your pledge. Large or small, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you call right now. Again, it's 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. We're offering some great appreciation gifts that are sure to deepen your faith life even more. But what's best is you'll have the confidence that when you turn your radio on tomorrow, or next week, or 12 days from now, we'll be here, boldly and charitably presenting the truth to a world that's searching for precisely that. Your pledge is vital to keeping Catholic Answers Live on the air. Will you make the call today to 888-291-8000 or donate securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com? Thank you so much in advance. Give now at CatholicAnswersRadio.com or 888-291-8000. God bless you.
Welcome back. Catholic Answers Live. A little bit of groovy music there for you. Dr. Karlo Broussard, our guest. 5 of our 6 lines have calls on them, so we know we got a lot of fun left to have in the next half hour of this program. But we also got a little fundraising to do. We've got a match, $15,000 match, and I'm going to tell you, let me just look at the number right now. We've still got 12,000 of it to use up. 12,000 of it left. Boy, we got a lot of work to do this hour. One of the great things, though, is I have seen it time and time again. That is nothing to our listeners. There are lots of folks who will call and help us out. We're asking for your help right now, 888-291-8000. And here in studio with us, the president of Catholic Answers, Chris Check.
So I'm very happy to be here, and I want to tell you that Sandy in Idaho called in, and she's making a $2,000 distribution from her IRA. So, my friends, there's lots of ways to give, and those of you who have been watching the stock market and see that it's hitting new highs, and perhaps you're concerned about selling your securities and there's a capital gain associated with that. Well, not if you donate the proceeds of that sale to Catholic Answers. You can save on that capital gain and help Catholic Answers out. And the same way, all you need to do when you call in, 888-291-8000, and say, I'm interested in making a gift of securities, or I'm interested in making a distribution from my IRA, or whatever, crypto, all the other different kinds of ways that we can accept gifts. 888-291-8000, and we'll get that squared away. And Cy, it looks like we need some larger gifts here, so I'm going to say this. If, my friends, that you have been waiting and thinking, I want to make a substantial investment in the work of Catholic Answers so that a lot of people can hear the gospel, a lot of people can hear about the love and mercy of Jesus Christ, the fullness of his truth, the grace of his sacraments, but I want to know a little bit more about the work that you do. I'd like to see your 990. I'd like to look into your books. I'd like to know if you're an efficient organization. We are a very efficient organization. It's extraordinary to me how many literally millions of people, when you throw in our social media and all the podcasts and Catholic.com, which reaches millions every month, we reach millions of people with the fullness of the truth. That's what we do. And as Karlo was saying earlier, we do it with clarity and with charity, with love and joy. We're not here about an argument. We're here to bring people, not to us, not to call attention to ourselves, as so many people in the media are doing now, to call attention to Jesus Christ and what he has to offer, which is everything. So, my friends, 888-291-8000. If you want to make a deeper look into Catholic Answers, just say, I'd like to talk to Chris Check, and I'll call you on the phone.
I got a little breaking news. I got to break some news here. I've never actually seen this happen before in all the years I've been doing this. We just got $20,000 more of match money. Just came in, $20,000. So this is what Christine told me I could do with that $20,000 match. She said I can offer the double match that we offered yesterday. That anybody who comes in at $500 or more will not only be matched, but will be double matched. So that's pretty good. What?
I mean, I don't know what to say when I see the generosity of folks like this. It just
I know.
Fires my heart.
And I know it wasn't you because you were sitting right here. So I'm clear on that. So
I have
what
a lot of
an
skills,
opportunity.
but being in two places at once is not one of them.
This is a huge opportunity. There's 14 lines open. If you can make a gift of $500 or more right now, it will be double matched because the generous donor has just come in with $20,000 extra dollars. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. There's also another way you can get that double match. Start a new monthly pledge of $20 or more right now. This is just for the next half hour. Can we use up all this money in the next half hour? I think maybe we can. 888-291-8000.
And that's a real match, folks. So we need you to bring us that money so we can get the match from the donor. That's a real match. So 888-291-8000, CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or text Catholic to 24365. Cy, Karlo, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm not telling our listeners anything they don't know. We live in a dark time. The divorce rate is very, very high. The birth rate is very, very low. Just the rate of marriage is at an all-time low. You have to have marriage to have a society. You can't have a society without marriage. We have so many young people who are confused and lonely. There is one answer. The loneliness that people feel has to be unprecedented in history, that people feel right now. And yet we're all supposed to be connected, right? With all the screens and the social and all this sort of thing. But the loneliness is so profound. My friends, it's not who's going to get elected to office. It is not which legislation is going to get passed or executive order is going to get signed. None of those things are going to bring the healing grace that only comes through Jesus Christ and his church. That's the one solution. If you want to help the world, then you want the message that Jesus offers to go to as many people as possible. 888-291-8000.
Fill up those lines, please. This is very special. We've never had this happen before. An extra $20,000 match just came in. So that means if you can make a pledge of $500 or more right now, essentially that means your money is tripled to $1,500. If you can start a new monthly pledge of $20 or more, your money also tripled. 888-291-8000.
Yeah, I think it's important to bring into the conversation conversation here what Pope St. Paul VI stated in his 1975 Apostolic Exhortation Evangelii Annuntiandi.
I love this. I just discovered this about 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Such an
it's
important
brilliant.
It's brilliant.
And in there, he says, in order to have effective evangelization, we have to enter into the very strata and concrete milieu and convert people's consciences and activities from within. So that means getting into their homes, getting into their ears at whatever activity they're engaged in, on the treadmill at the gym or running in the park or even at work in the cubicle, listening to something while they're doing mundane work. We at Catholic Answers are a media ministry, and that allows for us to achieve this goal of entering into the very strata and concrete milieu of people and converting people's consciences, their minds, and their hearts from within, meeting them where they're at. But we cannot do that without the help of our generous donors at 888-291-8000. So help us achieve this great goal of evangelization, to be with people, to accompany people, to walk with them in their walk with the Lord.
Karlo, we need the help from these people in two ways. One, the generosity of their giving, absolutely. 888-291-8000. My friends, there are 8 lines open right now, so you won't have to wait. 888-291-8000. The other way we need them, Karlo, is to take the work and the message the Catholic Answers is putting out in its clear and charitable and accessible and trustworthy way, and make it theirs, and then go out and share the gospel as well. To pick up Cy Kellett's book,
which we help them with.
Precisely. This is our function. Or Jimmy's new book, Evidence for Christ. In that very same document, Paul VI says, and I can't quote it chapter and verse the way you do, but he says, there's no way that someone can have that encounter with Jesus Christ and accept that gospel
unless they first encounter a credible witness.
Precisely. But then once they have made that encounter and accepted that, if they truly have, there's no way that they can be quiet about it.
Exactly.
So, my friends, if you're listening to this show and you're saying, I've accepted the fullness of what the church teaches, I'm thrilled to be a Catholic, this is the pearl of great price that you have, and you want to share it with others. 888-291-8000. If you don't want to share it with others, then there's got to be a little bit of examination of conscience of what's going on here.
People are picking up the phone. I got more breaking news. This is the wildest hour. This is one of the wildest hours I've ever had on the air. Somebody just came in with a $10,000 gift. So
blessed be God.
Praise God. Thank you.
A minute ago, we got a gift of $20,000 for matching. Someone offered to match up to $20,000. Then somebody else said, "Okay, I'll give $10,000." So I don't even know how to do the math at the moment. I'll be honest.
We still
have match money.
We still
though.
About 15 or so to match. Still.
And I will reiterate, from that $20,000 match, if you're able to make a gift of $500 or more right now, it's going to be tripled. It's going to be matched twice. If you're able to start a new pledge of $20 or more, it's going to be tripled. It'll be matched twice. So this is a perfect opportunity. I'm telling you, I've never been through an hour like this on the air. 888-291-8000. 8 lines open. 888-291-8000.
Cy, I say this every time we do this drive. I ask all of you listening, my friends, if you could write a check for $100 or $1,000 and have confidence that someone would come back to the Catholic faith, or someone for the first time, a Protestant, an atheist, a Muslim, come into the fullness of the Catholic Church, would you write that check? Well, the answer is of course you would. Well, that's exactly what happens to people who encounter our show. It is our yes, it's Cy's yes, it's Karlo's yes, it's the yes of everybody behind this glass making the show the amazing production that it is. It's their yes to the Holy Spirit. They're the conduits of His grace. And then that grace, as Karlo the philosopher can explain, acts on nature, and extraordinary things happen. But we have the testimony in this building. 6 lines open, 888-291-8000. We have drawers full of testimony. I was a Muslim, now I'm a Catholic. I was an atheist, now I'm a Catholic. I was away from the sacraments for 30 years, and I just went to confession because of your show. My friends, if you desire this, and you should, if you don't desire it, I want to know why. You should desire this for everyone everyone in your family, with whom you work, the strangers you meet on the street. And we can help, and you can help us. 888-291-8000. There are 5 lines open, and a lot of match money still to make, Si.
A lot of match money. I didn't realize I have the name of the woman who gave the $10,000 gift. That was Cindy in Texas.
Oh, thank you, Cindy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cindy, for coming to our help. Do you want to take a call, or what do you want to do?
We can go to a call. I just want to say real quick, this is one way.
There are 3 lines open. Can we get to? Sorry, I didn't
interrupt. No, that's more important right now.
Look, there are 3 lines
we
open.
want to get to 0 lines
open. We'll get to 0, and we'll let Karlo take a call. 888-291-8000. There are 3 lines open.
Fill them up,
Karlo.
Fill them up.
Yeah, this is a way in which folks can participate in the Great Commission of Matthew 28:19 through 20. Go out into all nations
Amen.
and make disciples. And, this is a way in which you can evangelize. Help us, equip us with what we need to go and fulfill that mission of evangelization.
I'll tell you what, Karlo, I'm going to let you answer a question, but if that gets down to 0 lines open, I'm just going to interrupt you by saying
Absolutely.
that. And then we'll go on. 888-291-8000. We can get 2 calls right now. We will get down to 0 lines open.
One line open.
Here it is. TJ in Virginia, listening on the EWTN app. Thank you for waiting, TJ. Go ahead with your question for Dr. Karlo Broussard.
Hey, sir. Hi, Dr. Karlo. How you doing today?
Hi, TJ.
We're doing
good.
all
Thank
right,
you
buddy.
for calling.
0 lines, Si.
Sorry, TJ, interrupt you to say there's 0 lines open. Okay, go ahead, TJ.
Please call, folks.
Yeah. I would just like to say I'm a proud monthly supporter of Catholic Answers.
Praise God.
Thank you.
I appreciate all you're doing.
Thank you, TJ.
So
Thank
my
you.
My question has to do with the subject of marriage in heaven. When Jesus was approached by the Sadducees, whom he called basically whitewashed tombs and serpents, he was approached with this question of marriage in heaven.
Yeah.
And could we look at this scripture as maybe I don't know how to say this, but for me, I wish I could be with someone, in my life right now.
Yeah.
So you don't see this as a positive. This sounds
what's
negative
the good
to you.
news? What's the good news in this?
Is that it, TJ?
Yeah.
Okay, Karlo?
All right, TJ. So here's my thought, brother. So it is true that God has revealed to us that the marital bond is something that is only for this life. That is the bond which makes me as husband toward my wife, Jacqueline, and Jacqueline as wife toward me. God has revealed that that bond dissolves with death of one of the spouses, and it does not continue into the afterlife. However, TJ, the good news is that in the afterlife, it is not as if we lose knowledge of the relationship that we had with our spouse in this life and all of the good things involved with it. So we will continue to have that knowledge of the relationship, the marital relationship in this life. We will rejoice in God for the gift of that marital relationship. We will rejoice in God's providence for the goods that God bestowed upon us in that relationship in this life. And finally, we will rejoice and give God glory for how God used that relationship in this life and directed it, ordered it toward our salvation, because that is what the sacrament of marriage is ultimately ordered toward, our salvation. It's the signpost pointing us to the ultimate marriage of the mystical union with Christ perfectly in heaven. And so this earthly good, marriage, is ordered toward the heavenly good of union with God. And TJ, in heaven, brother, we're going to have such an increase of intellectual insight and sharpness of the mind. We will see that truth, and we will rejoice in that truth. And in no way will we be lacking in joy, delight, and happiness.
Sometimes when we're lonely in this life, though, it is hard to believe that we won't be lonely in the next life. But that is part of the promise.
But that loneliness will be completely quelled because of the union that we have with God and the union with Mary, all the blessed, all the angels, the entire communion of saints, filling that void of loneliness that we may experience in this life.
Very, very good. TJ, thank you very much for the call. Edgar, let's give him Evidence for Christ, the new book from Jimmy Akin, if we could. Very gracious words, TJ, and we're very grateful for them. We're coming into the last minutes of our spring pledge drive. It has been an extraordinary pledge drive, I got to say right now.
Blessed be God.
It has been quite, even Joe did well. You know, no, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
That shirt he was wearing, notwithstanding.
Right, but so look, we still got match money though. So I've been neglecting to say, if you are one of those text type people, you want to text, go ahead and text the word Catholic to 24365. If you text the word Catholic to 24365, it will take you to the place where you can participate and get the match money, help us use up that match money. You can go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or now there are 10 lines open. They got very, very full, and now there are 10 lines open, so they got people through quickly. You can call 888-291-8000.
Everybody was listening to Karlo's erudite answer there and compassionate answer, so they were calling in. But Karlo's not answering a question right now. So, my friends, 11 lines open, 888-291-8000. Down to 9, thank you. Let's get these back down to 3 or 4 lines open, 888-291-8000. And let's finish up this match money. Cy, I extend the special invitation that I extend every time we get behind this microphone during a pledge drive. If, my friends, if you've been listening to this show, maybe for years you've been listening to Catholic Answers Live, I know you've been benefiting from it because you keep tuning back in, and you probably tell other people about it, and I'm grateful, and I want you to continue to do that, and I want you to pray for us. But if you have been listening all this time and you've never made a gift, this is the moment now. I truly believe the Holy Spirit is asking you to make a gift to us, 888-291-8000, so that the great work that my brothers here, Cy and Karlo, Joe Trent, Jimmy, Tim, Tom Nash, all of them do so magnificently, and the other 30 or so folks here at Catholic Answers who don't get behind these microphones, but actually make this machine run in the well-oiled, synchronized, working on all 8 cylinders way that it does, 888-291-8000, so that we can continue the good work that we do. Please be generous.
888-291-8000. Quite a few people have recently just, I'm looking at the last 15 minutes or so of donations, and we said that if you are able to make that $500 gift, one-time gift or more, it will be tripled right now because we got that extra $20,000 match that just came in unexpectedly. Or we also said you'll get the triple match if you make that $20 a month pledge, a new pledge of $20 a month or more. And so we've got Jennifer in Texas, $500 plus fees.
Wow.
Linda in New Mexico, $500 plus fees. Mark in Kansas,
fees, man.
$900 plus fees. Maureen in West Texas, $500 plus fees. And then a whole bunch of people that took advantage of the $20 triple money.
Wow.
And let me just name a few. Gail in Missouri, Diane in Illinois, Darren in Missouri, and on that list goes. I'm sorry if I didn't get your name, but I'm so grateful that people responded to what we just asked for. That it means a lot that you would take the time to do that. When we still have that $500 match, that is, if you can give $500 or more, it will be tripled right now till the top of the hour. 13 more minutes, 888-291-8000. Or if you could start a new pledge of $20 or more for the next 13 minutes, it will be tripled, 888-291-8000.
888-291-8000, 7 lines open. Cy, all new givers, completely new givers, never given to Catholic Answers before, get a handwritten note from me, including my favorite prayer. I won't tell them what it is. You have to give in order to find out what it is.
I should do that.
That's
Chris.
excellent.
You got to give the money if you want to know what the prayer is.
888-291-8000. I think I've already got like 60 or 70 that Christine gave me yesterday of notes I've got to write from the first day of the drive.
Isn't that wonderful, though?
Yeah.
What a wonderful task to
new
have.
givers. Yeah, absolutely delighted
and I
to do
commend
it.
you for that, boss. You know, that provides that personal touch that everybody is longing for, especially within our current culture, right? Everybody's longing for that personal touch. So we commend you on that. 888-291-8000. You can get that personal touch from Chris Check.
I was going to say suitable for framing, but I have the worst handwriting. There's a fellow in Texas. Every time I send a letter, he makes no comment at all about the letter. He just complains about my signature, about how bad my handwriting is. Yeah. So you will get a poorly handwritten note from me.
Is he a donor?
He is. Yeah.
He is?
Yep.
Well, interesting. Work on that, Chris.
Well, work on my handwriting. I'm 60, Si.
Speaking of work, one of the things I wanted to share is you mentioned this earlier of how we make good use of our generous donors'
That's
dollars,
true.
right?
I do believe that.
And
Karlo.
one thing I wanted to share was just how much in awe I am with the work ethic of the team members here and the members of the Catholic Answers family, just how hard everybody works. You know, I was here incarnate in person for 7.5 years. I've been away for 3 years, but I've been able to interact with you guys on several different occasions. And I always walk away in marveling at just how hard people work and the great work ethic that they have. And so that's just a testimony. I can personally testify to the good stewardship of the members of the Catholic Answers family and the team here and the work that we do. So, folks, if you call in 888-291-8000 and make your pledge and give us your donation, you can know I give you my word that it is being put to good use and people are working their tails off for the gospel.
888-291-8000. There are 5 lines open. Anybody who would like to come and visit, one of my favorite things as president to do is to show people around our office and introduce them to our magnificent staff. I think of the great Shane Ryder, our graphic designer, and that boy, I don't know, he never catches his breath. He's doing graphic design for the press. He's doing it for the newsletter, for the marketing department, for the website.
And that's because the marketing director, Donna, is a workhorse.
Yeah, no, she is.
I know she won't let anybody rest.
And by the way, her office is right across the hall from Shane. So I can tell you. And then Luke Bender with his manipulation of the YouTube.
He's amazing, Luke Bender.
World. I don't even know what you call algorithms or whatever, right?
But that's the thing about Karlo was saying about these young people that have come in recent years who really are the hope of the future here. I mean, you just feel like, okay, we're going to be okay.
3 lines open.
Luke Bender,
888-291-8000.
Luke Bender's a computer scientist. He can go to one of these Silicon Valley companies and make all the money that he wants to make. But he came here because he wants to help people find Jesus on the internet.
Yeah, he's constantly working on those programs for the data.
Yeah.
We were at Trent Horn's conference, and he was like showing me, look, Karlo, look what I'm doing now here. You know? And then just like this morning, he was like, look at all this, and look at all, we can do this, and we can do that. I mean, these guys work hard, man, and blessed be God, 888-291-8000, to keep that going.
Listen, we're in the last 4 minutes of our spring pledge drive. So much to be grateful for. I'll come back tomorrow and let you know the totals of how we did and to give a more fulsome thank you. As we come into the last minutes, you should know that once we're done speaking, our colleagues will stay by the phones and they'll continue to answer those phones until they stop ringing. So you're welcome to keep calling 888-291-8000. If you're listening overnight or on the podcast, you can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com anytime, 24 hours a day, CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or you can text the word Catholic to 24365, Catholic to 24365. For my own pleasure, I would like to make a special thank you to Scotland because 3 different Scots donated to our pledge.
That's amazing.
Isn't that funny? I don't know what we're doing in Scotland, but we've got 3 fans in Scotland.
It's the intervention of St. Margaret.
Is that what it is? Yes, St. Margaret of Scotland.
Or Robert the Bruce.
And that testifies to us living out the Great Commission. All nations.
Yeah.
Teaching everything that Christ has commanded us to do. But we couldn't do that without the generosity of our supporters at 888-291-8000.
All right, let's fill up those lines one more time if we could. Let's make a big push. If you've been thinking about giving, I would just want you to know we still have, because look, it came in the last half hour, a $20,000 match in the last half hour. So if you can give $500,
$5,000,
or $5,000, it's going to be tripled now.
Hey, Cindy gave $10,000.
Yep. I know Cindy did. That's right. If you can start a new monthly pledge of $20 or more right now for the next few minutes, I feel like Ron Popeil right now. For the next few minutes, it is going to be tripled. But it's really true. 888-291-8000 or safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
888-291-8000. My friends, there are 5 lines open. And what do we have here, Si? About 2.5 minutes
left. 2.5 minutes left in the show.
2.5 minutes left in the show. I want to underscore what Si said. If you're listening to this on the podcast, just go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and make your gift or text Catholic to 24365. If you are interested in making a large gift, call us here at Catholic Answers 888-291-8000. Say, I'd like to talk to Chris Check. I'd like to learn more about how your how the 990 looks, any of those kinds of things. We are a very efficient organization. And as Karlo says, everybody here puts in, I was going to say a full day, but I think people put in like 2 full days per day.
Exactly.
It's extraordinary.
I'm faking it some of the time, but
yeah, and and this is
so you are not a faker. This man.
Oh, come on, go on. I'm just playing.
Every day.
And the amount of interviews he does
I know.
in a day,
I wasn't
plus
fishing
Catholic
for-
Answers
thank you.
Live.
Finish up, Karlo.
I was just
Go ahead.
going to say, Holy Mother Church backs us here in calling everyone listening to help support us in our media ministry and our work at Catholic Answers. The Second Vatican Council, in its decree on social communication, said media is an indispensable means for evangelization and says that it belongs to all of the faithful to help good Catholic media ministries.
If you are supporting Catholic Answers, you are fulfilling one of the precepts of the church to support the church. That absolutely is true. We are an apostolate in good standing, recognized by the Diocese of San Diego. Your support of us counts towards your following of that precept to support the church.
Amen.
There's the music. That means we're done. We won't come to you and ask you for support until August. It'll be about 3.5 months because of the way the calendar went this year before we come back again. But I do want to say thank you. I know you want to say thank you, Karlo.
Thank you so much from the depths of my heart.
And what a great pleasure to do 2 hours with you in
such
studio.
a pleasure. Thank you, Si.
Chris, thanks for coming in. Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you to you, Si, and Karlo, of course, and the entire team here at Catholic Answers. We have a board of directors meeting tomorrow, so some of them are starting to trickle in, and it's a joy to have them in the building. And all of our generous donors all over the world, I'm so deeply grateful to you.
I'll tell you what, they'll keep answering the phones if you'll keep calling 888-291-8000. If you're listening after hours, don't forget you can always go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and make your pledge. Any gift, $500 or more, triple matched. Any new pledge, $20 a month or more, triple matched right now, 888-291-8000.